Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The Philippines has imposed additional measures on arriving passengers to prevent more monkeypox cases from entering into the country. To tell us more about this, we have Gerard de la Peña reporting to us live from the NAIA Terminal 2 in Pasay City. Gerard, what's the latest there?
Well, Sean, the Bureau of Quarantine has set up measures to prevent the entry of additional cases of monkeypox in the Philippines. Before getting off the plane, passengers will be asked to remove their jackets or fold their long sleeves up so that quarantine personnel can inspect if they have lesions or rashes. Passengers will also pass through a thermal scanner to determine if they have fever. Those who will exhibit monkeypox symptoms will undergo checkup. After that, they will be brought to the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine through the Bureau's ambulance. Meanwhile, those without symptoms will need to present their One Health Pass QR codes before proceeding to the immigration. These are the procedures in place for international passengers coming from countries with monkeypox cases. But the BOQ admits this may not be enough, as some passengers will only show symptoms after a couple of days. If this happens, the BOQ will conduct contact tracing for the close contacts of the monkeypox case. Sean, health authorities and the Bureau of Quarantine are reminding the public to continue wearing face masks and observing physical distancing to limit the chances of contracting monkeypox. Sean.
All right, thank you so much for those updates. Gerard de la Peña reporting to us live from the NAIA Terminal 2 in Pasay. Meanwhile, one human rights expert sees no surprise in the Marcos administration's decision not to rejoin the International Criminal Court. In an interview with The Big Story, Carlos Conde of Human Rights Watch said President Bongbong Marcos had already indicated that an ICC membership is not a priority. Conde added that while it is ideal for the Philippines to cooperate with the ICC probe on Duterte's drug war, the country's non-participation will not derail investigations.
Cooperation is ideal, but it is not something that will derail an investigation.
Okay.
When the Philippine government, got out of the ICC, that doesn't mean the ICC no longer has jurisdiction of the cases in the Philippines that were committed when it was a member.
However, Conde believes that the ICC remains the best possible avenue for the families of drug war victims to pursue justice, at least for now.
The ICC right now remains as the only viable avenue for victims of the drug war to pursue justice. And the decision by the President Marcos to not rejoin the ICC, while it is not relevant to the investigation itself, that prolongs their wait for justice.
We will be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Some factories in China are operating under a so-called closed-loop system to curb the transmission of COVID-19. The details in this video from Bloomberg.
China is forcing some of its biggest companies to operate a closed-loop system. In fact, it's become the new normal for a lot of factories here. So, how does it work? The point is to keep workers inside the factory complex, away from the outside world. This means they eat, sleep, and even exercise at their workplace for days or weeks, sometimes months, without outside contact. So this system first started to be used by manufacturers in Shenzhen, those that had worker dormitories within the compounds or nearby. So these companies could actually shuttle their workers back and forth without actually leaving the campus. It's not just factories. Offices have had to make arrangements for staff to live and work inside. So China has been using this method to contain its COVID outbreaks for a while now, including the Beijing Olympics in February. That's me at the Olympics. For weeks I was totally fenced in at my hotel, and they put me on a bus every time I needed to go to a competition. I could only see the rest of the world through the windows. So why are companies doing this? It's basically to keep production going while conforming to Xi Jinping's COVID-0 strategy. It keeps China's giant manufacturing sector and the economy humming along, even as persistent cases threaten lockdowns for the rest of the population. And to be honest, it's working for some companies. For example, Tesla, it saw its shipments surge in June after it started operating its closed loop. This comes after its output was severely dented during the initial stages of the Shanghai lockdown. But these closed loops aren't devoid of problems. Some workers have staged walkouts or even protests. Like in this video shared on social media, where workers appear to clash with guards and revolted against lockdown measures. More generally, workers are just sick and tired of being locked into some factory or dorm for weeks or months on end and being isolated from their families.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. President Marcos has appointed labor leader Alan Tanhusay as Social Welfare Undersecretary for Inclusive and Sustainable Peace. Tanhusay is the spokesman of the Associated Labor Unions and the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. The Health Department has detected 2 cases of the highly transmissible BA.2.75 subvariant. Both cases are from Region 6 and have been tagged as recovered. The travel histories of the 2 cases are still being verified. And the total worth of damage to infrastructure from the magnitude 7 quake that struck Luzon last week has breached 1 billion pesos. The NDRRMC says close to 1,500 structures were affected, with the Ilocos region bearing the brunt of the damage. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.